Hi everyone. So I showed you how to make the cover of this, and now I'm gonna work on the insert. And this is a traveler style notebook, which is like 8 by 4.25 or something like that. So I've already sewn, you guys saw the cover in the last video. So this is just random pieces of upholstery fabric and different bits and pieces that I had in my stash. And I'm sewing them onto a piece of cardstock. So in the kit that I provided in one of my live sales had all these coffee dyed papers and different things in the kit. So I'm going to use this music piece as my back page. So I'm going to, and it doesn't matter which way, what's the front or the back of the cover. It doesn't really matter. Just what's up and what's down. So I actually like this A minor scale page. So I'm going to glue this down, and you could just fold it up, but I like the music. So I'm going to cut it off. So I'm just using a glue stick. It would be good if you were going to do this to use a permanent glue stick. So Oohoo, Elmer's Extreme, Amazon Basics, the permanent ones, not the water soluble ones. Well, I mean, I guess you could if you're not going to ever get it wet, but if you ever choose to do any wet medium, like watercolor or anything on in your traveler's notebook, sometimes if you don't use a permanent glue stick, the pages will lift. So, I mean, it's up to you. You could also use matte medium or something like that. So I'm just going to glue it down the best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect because I am going to sew around the edges, but I do want it to stick. So I'm going to go around my edges a couple of times because it does have the thread in it. You know, the thread from the previous sewing, from sewing the cover down. So I think that's fairly good. I'm going to go for it, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it. I just want to make sure which is the top. I think I'm gonna have this piece be the top of the book. So I'm gonna go for it. Now you do want to burnish it down really well because it is because the fabric is, because it's a fabric cover, the piece of cardstock, you just want to make sure that it's burnished to the best of your ability. And if you have a burnisher, great. I'm just going to use the back of a pair of scissors. Sometimes a glue stick works too, the top of a glue stick or a paint bottle. You guys know me. I'm a use what you have kind of girl. So, let's see. I know I have a big Amazon glue stick. Just want to burnish it down so that there's no bubbles in it. You guys don't have to get it perfect. It's not necessary to get it perfect. Now I'm just folding it up so I can tear this piece off. I'm just going to tear it because I like the way a torn piece looks, but you can cut it if you feel need to. Okay, so because this is going to be how the journal is, and I will go back and trim off the edges, I would like the music the things to be going the right direction. Now, I'm going to fold mine down a little bit because the pocket, the top of your pocket always gets the most wear. The top of, where you're putting stuff in and out. So. And then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it. But prior to sewing it, I think I am going to cut. I'm going to go for it and cut the edges. Cut the pieces that don't need to be sewn. hope you guys do this project. It is fun, not terribly complicated. I mean, it can be as complicated as I guess you want it to be if you sew a much more intricate cover than I did. Okay. Now I see there's some little white bits up here. I'm going to go around later on and ink it, or I'm not going to worry about it right now, because then if I decide to put lace or embellish the outside of it, I'm not going to worry about it. So I am going to cut this to the right size on one side, and I'll leave it on the other. Okay, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew it, which is right here next to me. And I'm going to use a zigzag stitch. I told the story. My machine was on a different stitch, but it's fine. It's a decorative stitch and it'll be fine, just fine. It was a decorative stitch. It wasn't a zigzag, but you guys get the whole picture. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and cut this end off and finish sewing it. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew it all the way around. Okay, it's far from perfect, but it doesn't really need to be. You know, this is just the insert of a journal, so it's not like it's, you know, quilting or something super perfect, but it still looks good. And it was already glued down, so the stitches on the inside are just decorative, and it was just to make sure that, you know, I was really just sewing the pockets in. So there we have that. Now we're going to work on the pages. So I like this, the bit up here that's not perfect, and I think this is going to be my front. I'm not going to worry about all the bits and pieces, but I will go back and make sure I've burnished the paper on the inside down because it's so uneven. But I mean, it's not going to come up, just for my own aesthetic. So that's the inside. So now we're going to work on the pages. So these are the pages that I'm going to go ahead and put in. I'm not going to worry about cutting them. I'm just going to go ahead and you can make a choice because it's going to hang over, and you can see the difference in the front and the, you know, the size of the pieces. So you could either cut these off or you could use them as tip-ins. I'm not going to use them as tip-ins. I'm just going to go for it and just fold the pages in half and then arrange them however I want. Now this is coffee or tea dyed paper, so it does have that really cool crinkle noise, which I have to tell you guys, I kind of really like. You know, that fun crinkling noise. So I'm just going to fold all my pages that are going to go in. This is going to have 8 pages, which is going to give me 32 sides, which is perfect for a traveler's notebook insert so that you can journal on it every day for a month. But obviously you could add more or less depending upon what you're going to use it for. Okay, so I have those 4 done. My piece of coffee dyed dictionary page of French English dictionary, and I love the way this sounds. And let's see, and then I have my Japanese book pages. I'm gonna fold those. I'm gonna keep, I may not need both of them. Now this piece was like it's a different type of paper. And I think I'm going to use it more like I'm going to go ahead and fold it in thirds. I'm going to like fold it like you would a letter. And I'm going to sew it in. I'm going to pick one side, like whether I want the tip in on this side or whether I want, you know, whether I want it to open up to the right or to the left is going to be what I'm going to decide. But I think at this point I'm going to have it open to the right. So that means I'm just going to line up all my pages with this. And I'm going to cut mine off afterwards. I'm not going to cut them off right now. So page 2, page 3. I'm going to put my small page in here, page 4. Put another one of these. Now this journal is primarily for me to write in or art journal in. It's not going to be... you know, so that's why the pages are blank. Now I have to decide how I want to do this piece. Let's see, how big is it? Let's see how big it is compared to the cover. It's pretty big. All right, so I can decide. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to cut off I like the rough edge. I'm going to cut off the bottom edge. Let's see how much. Let's see. I guess I'm going to cut off a little bit of the top too. Not because I don't like the rough edge, just because I want to keep the whole page and then not have it hang over the top. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So I think I'm also going to do it like, I'm going to just fold it. Let's see. It's going to have, maybe I'll make my whatever you want to call it, the extra side on the opposite side of the other one. Let me see. Okay, so now I have all my pages ready to go into the book. All right, and I think this one is going to go this way, and then these are going to go in here. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll put this one in there too. Okay, so now I have all my pages exactly how I want them, and I will cut them off. I just need to make sure they line up where the fold is, like where it's going to go into the spine, that all the pieces are included. Included in that, included in this. So this is my signature, and I will cut and trim and fold to fit, and this is what it's going to go in. So you could use an awl, you could use any sort of a straight pokey tool. You could just use your needle. I'm going to use, ready for this, you guys? I'm going to use a very exciting tool. I'm going to use my seam ripper. Now, you know, this is only, these are not, it's not a big, huge, fat signature, so a seam ripper will be fine. And I think I'm going to do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. I know you could do 3-hole, 5-hole. You could, you know, do it your way. Do whatever. And then normally you would have a clip. I don't even have a clip, so I'm just going to use my hands. So I'm going to try to find the center first. The only thing that I find is a real challenge in using is you've got to be able to, I don't know if this is going to be enough. You've got to be able to line it up with the back of the spine, and I'll show you what I mean. Generally you need like 3 times the length of your book for your thread. So I'm going to move my little handy dandy sewing machine out of the way. You guys get my whole not great lighting, and probably could do a few things better, but for this purpose it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go through the center. This is what I mean by lining it up on the edge of where the fold is. When you have fabric, it can be a little bit tricky, so that was that was just lucky. Now, so the next one I'm going to do is going to be up kind of about that far from the top. So I'm going to just make sure. The one good thing about, okay, now you can see I didn't really get that one, or I need to move it over just a tiny bit to the left. I don't know if you can see it. It's not perfect, but that's okay because it's good in the center, and then I can take it out. And because it's fabric, it's a lot more forgiving than, say, if you're poking it through paper. Meaning you won't really be able to see it once I get it through. Okay, so I went from the inside. Now I've got to go turn it over and go from the outside. I just want to make sure I see where I poked my hole. It would be better if I had an awl, but I don't have one down here. So you guys are you're getting my, I just want to make sure it goes all the way through. You guys are getting my on the fly bookbinding. Okay, just want to poke it through one more time. And I'm going to turn it over. And match the hole up from the top. So you went inside, and now you're sewing outside. Okay, so far I have 2 holes. Now I'm going to go up higher. I'm going to go to the, I like to do it maybe 1/4 of an inch from the top, but there's no rules. You make up your own rules the way you like it, you know? So now I'm back on the inside. Now I'm going to go, through the top hole that I just made. So this one came from the inside, and then this one came through from the outside, and then this one from the inside. Now I'm going to take, and I'm going to go back through the hole or next to the hole, depending upon however you want to do it. next to the, you want to try to go into the same hole or next to it if you don't do the same one. That one's a little bit next to it. Okay, so now I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to skip the center and I'm going to go here. And I'm going to go this direction. I'm going to go here. Let's see. About, it's going to be about here. And you guys, it's pretty forgiving. It doesn't have to be exact. And if if this sits inside a traveler's notebook, a traveler's notebook cover, you're not going to see any of this. You're not going to see any of the spine if you put it inside your traveler's notebook cover. Well, that's me thinking, I was like, why didn't you just do the 3-hole pamphlet? It should already be done. You guys aren't wrong about that. It would already be done if I was doing a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. But I didn't, okay? Because I just like the way the 5-hole works. Now I'm just going to go back into the center, and it's going to come up in the center of my signature. I'm going to make sure all my threads are tight. And then I'm going to put one on one side of it and one on the other of the center thread. And then I'm just going to tie it. Now I'm using wax linen, but you can use any kind of thread, you guys. I will say dressmaker's thread sometimes is too thin. Okay, so I have my spine, I have my signature sewn in. Now I can just decide what I'm gonna fold in my pieces. I think I'm going to cut off all those. You don't have to. I'm going to fold this one in. And so now I'm just going to cut off my threads, cut my paper, cut the leftover paper bits. I have lots of little thread bits, but you don't have to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it off. I'm just going to go for it and cut off the paper. Now if I'd moved my pages from one side to the other, now look, I could take these and I could take like one of them and make a tuck spot in the book, which I might do. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just cut off a few of them and keep a few as tuck spots so that I have some built-in tuck spots for my little book here. Maybe I'll cut off those two. Now if I'd measured it and cut them off to the appropriate size, I'd have a lot of little bits left over that I could make tags with or whatever you wanted to do. But I didn't plan this one that way, so. It is what it is. I'm going to cut the rest of these off. I'm not going to cut that one off. I like that crunchy paper. Let me see. I think I just have 2. All right, there we have it. Now, all I have to do is decorate or, go through and make my little tuck spots. Like if I could glue these down as tuck spots or what have you. So there you have it. Super simple traveler's notebook. And then I'm going to go back and glue the tabs on But a super simple traveler's notebook insert. I hope you guys enjoyed my ridiculousness. And as always, from my heart to your heart, I'm sending you so much aloha. Bye for now.